Alright, so this is Decent We the People News. Okay, this video is without prejudice and or without recourse. Okay, not an attorney, not giving legal advice. Why? Because I'm not an attorney. That's why, people. Alright. So, everything I say or do is just by my opinions and my opinions only. Do not take it as legal advice, okay? Do your own research, people. This is how you learn. Because everything you ask from an attorney is hearsay. Anything you ask from a cop is hearsay. Anything you ask from a judge is hearsay. And it always gets you in trouble because they give you the wrong information. Okay? Never look just straight forward. Always look around you, be able to protect yourself by any means necessary. And this video to y'all is hearsay. Alright, so do your own research. Okay, so 2 videos back, I made 12 rebuttals of courts with 12 presumptions. So you want to go with this contract thing side by side and be able to do the rebuttal. Why? Because we've been taught, right? You got the basic 4 elements of a contract. But remember, the basic 4 elements of a contract is really to a person, all right? As if living man or woman, there's 8, okay? So we need to really understand all 8 of them to know what our rightful place is to be able to do a lawful contract, not a legal contract. Now, if you want to do a legal contract, it is okay to go by the 4 elements of the contract. But if you want to stay in a lawful contract, then you must follow the guidelines of the 8 variations of the contract. Okay? However, they're going to say living man and woman on here. Since it's already been recognized in a Magna Carta of a free man, which is a free man and woman, okay? I would probably stick more along the lines as a free man and woman, because when you go in that court, they already recognize you're alive. Hell, they did a summons. You know, they brought you up from the dead. So they brought you back to life. Alright, so well, since they brought you back to life, you want to let the courts know that, you know, hey, since you brought me back and I'm a living man, I'm also free. So I'm a free man in this court. Always stand in that courtroom, right? You walk in there, you knocked it right out of the court. I enter this room waiving 0 of my rights. I'm going to stand on all my rights. All right? You say I have no constitutional rights in here. I concur. I disagree. I'm not waiving any of it. I do, in fact, have constitutional rights in here because I'm not waiving it. And I don't care what you say, Judge. And quit saying your honor. They have to be in honor for you to use them, your honor. Okay? So, that's what I would do. 12 rebuttals and assumptions, or presumptions, right? This set by side. That way you can kind of get everything lined up. And if you must, and you're not competent to do this on your own, you can have a lawyer do a ghostwriting thing, but you have to get a really good one that would actually go by your wishes on this, okay? Don't never put person, you know, tell them, you know, always put a man on there, a free man, a free woman, or a living man, a living woman. It don't really matter on that. I just per se, since it's in a Magna Carta, I'm just going to go with the free man because they did the summons and I became alive once they did that, okay? So, I would do that and make sure, like I said, find a real good ghostwriting attorney, okay? They're not going to be responsible for the papers they do, but read over it thoroughly and make sure what you want to kind of change in there that benefits you. Not the courts, not that attorney's in there, but what benefits you, okay? So you're going to have to be specific and find out exactly which lawyer will do this for you, okay? If I'm paying them $200 something to do this ghostwriting, by gosh, they're going to do by what my wishes are and not by what theirs are. All right, let's go.
Parties competent to contract. The parties to a contract should be competent, being of the age of consent, of sound mind, not disqualified from contracting by any law to which he, she is subject. A flaw in capacity may be due to minority, lunacy, idiocy, drunkenness, or dissimilarity of kind. The parties should be of the same kind, being either legal fiction actors or natural living men or women, allowing more than two parties, but never a mixture of these kinds and their respective jurisdictions. Number 2, free and genuine consent. The consent of the parties to the agreement must be free and genuine. The consent of the parties should not be obtained by misrepresentation, fraud, undue influence, coercion, or mistake. If the consent is obtained by any of these means, then the contract is not valid or legally/lawfully enforceable. Number 3, full disclosure. When negotiating a contract, full disclosure is the step of providing all material information or telling the whole truth about any matter which may influence the decision-making of the other party or parties before they decide to enter into a contract. If either party fails to make full disclosure, the contract is null and void. Number 4, valuable consideration. The consideration is something of value possessed by the parties that is brought to the contract table. This something of value is bargained for and given in exchange for a promise or a performance. The parties must each receive a benefit and each suffer a detriment. To be enforceable, a contract must have valuable consideration. A contract is unenforceable if it has insufficient or unequal consideration without agreement. Number 5, certainty of terms. The terms and conditions of the contract must be fully disclosed and agreed upon, and must be certain and fixed. Any subsequent variation of terms must be agreed. Number 6, meeting of the minds. A meeting of the minds, consensus ad idem, occurs between the parties when they recognize each other, understand their mutual obligations, and agree. A meeting of the minds occurs between living men and women in lawful matters, common law jurisdiction, and between legal fiction actors in legal matters, admiralty maritime jurisdiction. A contract must either be either lawful or legal if one party to a contract makes a signature or as an accommodation party to a legal fiction person, while the other party makes a autograph for a living man or woman. The party.
How often have you seen any paperwork that said autograph? Now, we're under assumptions and presumptions. Autograph is, by these elite people, right? Your actors and rock roll stars and all these, you're going to get their autograph. Okay? But they're actually doing things correctly. Okay? Signature is that person. Autograph is a man or woman. Okay? You do not have to be famous to have an autograph.
These are of unequal kinds, and the contract is null and void. Number 7, autographs or signatures. Lawful written contracts between living men or living women must carry the wet ink autographs of the parties, comprising living identifications such as...
Now, that being said right there, and I'm sorry about interrupting because we really do need to do this without interruptions, but the wet ink is very important. And what our government officials are doing, they're tampering with legal documents by using copy machines of their signature, digital signatures, which is legal now due to 1997 under the Clinton Act. However, it's not lawful, people. Legal, but not lawful. Difference right there. Okay, so you want that warrant to be wet ink. You don't want it digitized, because that means just anybody can make a copy of it and be, that judge don't even have to do it. The attorney could go in there and say, oh, or the clerk, okay, we'll just stamp that his signature on that. And the judge, meanwhile, says, I'm going to stay in bed. You guys go ahead and do that. No, you want that wet ink. That is lawful warrant. The digital is a legal warrant.
Is a thumbprint, but more often living standing is recognized by an unambiguous declaration with the handwritten wet ink autograph, including the prefix, quote, by, colon, unquote, and or the words, quote, all rights reserved, unquote, and, quote, without prejudice, unquote, written below. Legal written contracts between legal fiction actors must carry the wet ink signatures of the parties as an accommodation from a man/woman. 8. Privity of contract. A contract exists only between the parties. No third party can obtain rights contained within a contract or buy or sell a contract without the express permission of the original parties. This is the parts of a lawful contract.
So, commercial.
Once in a generation leap for the iPhone camera.
G'day everyone and welcome.
Okay. There you guys go. Okay. So we got to be real careful with the words we are using. Okay. Because they do leave everything broad. Okay. Now, that being said, why does officers have discretionary over what they do with you? Okay? Because the judges and the government pass the buck to the officers to be responsible for whatever actions happen. Alright? They don't want to be responsible. So they leave it broad for them not to be responsible for their actions and pass it to the cops. So the cops, in all actuality, has been used and abused just the same as we are. They just don't think on their own. Which, to be honest, I didn't think on my own. I just complied with everything at one time. Even if it didn't sound fit of mine, and constitutionally speaking, I knew it was wrong. I knew what they're doing was wrong. But I couldn't pinpoint it, so I just complied. Alright? And this is where we are today, is because we've been taught to always comply. We've been brainwashed that all these people that we call have authority, they don't have authority unless you committed a crime. There has to be a victim. There has to be some type of violation. Violation is some type of loss, damage. Okay? It's not by me speeding down the road. That's not a violation. Violations is if I'm speeding down the road and I hit somebody. That right there is a violation. There is no previous violation until there is damage done at the particular time. What we are doing is reading into the future. Well, if you do this, if this happens, if this happens, if this happens. It's an if. Reading in the future. And that's where we are today. Everything is done by presumptions and assumptions of the future tense that may or may not come true. These are We the People News. Bye, y'all.